So you just watched Vanessa, who's on my team, give a tour of this beautiful apartment on Great Jones, and then you watched me give the same tour of the same apartment, just in a little bit of a different way. And I was hiding out there watching Vanessa give her tour, and then you were hiding out in the same stairwell watching me give my tour. And now we're gonna go through the highs and the lows of both tours and really mark down how you show an apartment or a home perfectly so that you can do it just like we do. So first up, your client, her name was Kim.
Yes.
Yeah, she walked through. What did you notice was the big difference between how I started the tour and how you started the tour?
You did a much better job greeting them and making them feel welcome.
Okay. Yes, I did. I think at the beginning, she walked in, you said, hi, this is the kitchen, right?
I did.
Yeah. And that's okay, because this is the kitchen. But you always have to remember, and we talk about this all the time, is that every showing, whether you're showing a buyer for the first time or the 10th time, is a place to make a new relationship, right? It's a place to have a stronger conversation, and you're really trying to get to know them and make them feel comfortable in the space, just like it's their home. So I don't want to jump around a little bit, but I don't know if you noticed, like towards the end, when we were going to the bedrooms, I did a little thing where I had them show me their master bedroom. So instead of me just saying, and this is the bedroom, and this is this, I made it more fun and said, if you guys lived here, why don't you show me your master bedroom? And they were like, oh, which way is it? Is it down here? Just because they're gonna remember it that much better than if it's just another tour where I'm showing them a bedroom. So yes, so I walked them in, I introduced myself, and then I started asking them questions, right? Did you ask Kim any questions?
I didn't ask her any questions.
Why not?
I was just rushing through the showing.
Why do you think so?
Maybe nerves?
Okay. Yeah, sometimes that's totally okay, especially if you're meeting a first-time buyer, right? And you're seeing them for the first time. It's kind of like a first date, right? Kind of meeting someone for the first time, even on the street. Like you don't really know what to do and you're just trying to get through it. And the easiest way to get through those first showing nerves and anxiety is just to ask questions. Like let the client help you. And they're gonna do that by walking you through their whole life story. So what brings you here? Like have you been looking for a long time? You know, why are you moving? Where do you currently live? Do you have dogs? Are you recently married? What's your family situation? Just ask them as many questions as you can while also giving the tour because it's going to help you understand really what they want, right?
Right.
Okay, so your introduction was kind of weird. My introduction, I really got to know them and got them smiling and we started the space. So then we walked into the kitchen and so I did the same thing that you did. We started in the kitchen because the kitchen's right here. And then what did you notice as the difference between how I showed the kitchen and how you did?
I needed to be more aware of the materials, what everything was made of, what was the actual fridge and not storage.
Yes.
The ceiling height.
Yeah.
Pretty much everything.
Yeah. So it comes back again to product knowledge and really just knowing your stuff, right? Like what are we really here for, right? We want to make money, but they're using us to show them the space. And if we don't know the materials, if we don't know the information on who built this kitchen and anything that makes it kind of fun, like it's custom done by Buffy. Right? Buffy is a high-end kitchen and bath maker and designer, and that's really expensive, and that's a nice brand name to put out there. You know, you've got this brushed metal cabinetry that's really actually pretty cool and specific for the space. So there's little things and details that you can talk about that also carry the conversation and help you with the tour. Because the more you know, the less they're gonna assume and infer. Because if you don't know anything about the space, they're gonna say, yeah, I don't know, I don't like these. But if you say that the countertops are this beautiful custom quartzite, they're gonna say, oh wow, that sounds really cool, right? And then one of the biggest mistakes I saw you make on this floor, don't worry, you did a lot of good things, we'll get to those, on this floor was with that terrace. Do you know why?
I didn't take them outside.
Yeah, why not? I think you said, and that's a terrace, you don't need to see it.
Possibly.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay. Well, so that's what happened. And you didn't go out there. And listen, I get it, right? It's kind of a little cold today. And you have these great huge windows so you can see the terrace. But it's, again, this is a penthouse with 4 outdoor spaces. It's almost over 1,600 square feet of outdoor spaces. The hugest selling point of this is that you get all this outdoor space, especially right off the dining room and right off the kitchen. So you want to try to highlight as many of the positives of the apartment as possible. So part of showing any home is also knowing what the negatives are. So like, look at this room that we're in right now. You walk right off the elevator into the kitchen. That's kind of a negative, right? And then your dining room and your breakfast area is kind of cramped right in the same room. So it's actually kind of small. But if you open up those big glass doors and take them outside, and then you switch the point of view back inside, now the space actually looks pretty big. So it's not just me trying to show them the outdoor space because it's outdoor space. It's really me trying to consistently reset their memory of the home into the most positive light possible, which when you're outside and you see the grill and you smell the air and you look back at the interior space with the whole home lit up, it seems much cooler than it does when you're in here and you're like, I don't know where the dining table goes, right? So does that make sense why I took them there?
Definitely. I didn't think I needed to take them outside because you could see it.
Yeah.
It's a little cold out, but the way you explained it, I really get how you can show rather than tell how big this place is.
Yeah, and so you also use story, right? I kept talking to them about why are you looking for a new space? And what they really kept saying to me was entertaining. Do you know why your client was looking for a new space?
I don't.
No, because you didn't ask, right? Which is okay. And maybe she'll come back, but you always want to make sure to ask all those questions so that you can then gear the showing towards what they really want. If they had told me, we hate entertaining, we hate people, we just want to watch Netflix and chill all night by ourselves, then I'd probably do the showing in a different way. I might have taken them right to the living room at first, shown them the automatic blinds, and said, this is a great place. You get one of those restoration hardware cloud couches, get a bunch of bean bags, hang out here, put the showing that way. Right? Because you really are, you're not just selling the home, you're selling their home, like back to themselves. All right, so moving out of this one space, because we talked about this a lot, moving into the living room, one thing that you did well was you talked about the fireplace, but I think the way you talked about it kind of takes us back to what we talk about a lot when we talk about kind of creating stories. So when you talked about the fireplace, how did you do it?
I just told her there was a great gas fireplace.
Got it. And how did she respond?
Sort of disinterested, not too excited about it.
And then you just moved on, right? So for me, these guys didn't seem like they needed a fireplace, but fireplaces are actually really, really cool. They're hard to find in New York City. They're hard to find in new developments, kind of like this one, right? And they add value to the apartment. So like I always, in every show, I want to mix how special the space is with also the investment value because they're spending a lot of money. Now, obviously, this is a big $16.5 million penthouse apartment, but even if this was a $400,000 single-family home in another state, like if there's a fireplace, that's value to the home and you want to talk about it. And so I set a story for them and talked to them about, lighting the fire when they come home at night and having a glass of wine and kicking back, relaxing, entertaining because that's what they really want to do. And then it seemed like they became into it. Now whether they were just kind of lying to me or not doesn't really matter because I set the story and they're going to remember now that that living room was big, open, had more outdoor space, and had a fireplace. Okay?
That makes sense. Just sort of build a relationship with them and
Yeah.
make them feel like they could see this as their home.
And that's exactly what we're talking about, their home. So I'm not showing someone else's home. I'm not showing my home. I'm showing their home to them, which is why I wanted them to show me their master bedroom, which is why I wanted to talk to them about their experience sitting in front of this fire sometime in the future once they've bought it. I want them, the minute they walk into the space, to already start feeling and thinking about what it's like for them to live here, other than just kind of being a tour guide and walking them through the space and pointing to the kitchen and the fireplace and the outdoor space, so on and so forth, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the big difference. Okay, so then you went downstairs and what happened?
She hated the staircase because it was dangerous for her children.
Okay. And you actually did something really good there, I thought. Something that I even totally forgot to bring up, which is where you started talking about building code, which is super specific, right? But which is good, because buyers might sometimes see staircase and say, I can't do this, my kid might fall down. But you said it was built to code, right? Which is good. Like reminding them, listen, you might be a little bit overcautious because this is built to code. The city is very, 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 very protective when it comes to children and outdoor spaces and fireplaces and all these things. So I thought that was something that was good that you did. Okay.
Then she mentioned the motorcycle that was there.
Yeah, that was a great part.
That wasn't so great.
Why?
I shouldn't have even discussed it. It's not part of the apartment. It's inconsequential.
Right. So she said it was dangerous, and you said, yeah, it's dangerous, and you moved on, right? So that was my favorite part of the whole showing. So again, it is just staging. It is just furniture, right? For me, if someone walks through and sees a huge sword or a 14th century cannon somewhere, and they have a reaction like that that's negative, immediately make it something that's fun. It's a decommissioned motorcycle. It's there, it's part of the staging. And guess what? You have an apartment that's so crazy that you could put a motorcycle here, but you don't have to, you know? Or you could have said something like, yeah, you know what? Motorcycles are dangerous. That's why we took this one off the street. We took it out of harm's way and we put it inside an apartment. Flip it around. It's not a big deal for her. It's not going to make the difference between whether she's going to buy the apartment or not because we put a motorcycle downstairs. But you don't want her leaving this house ever remembering anything negative, whether it had to do with the staging, the paint color, or the ceiling heights, right?
That makes sense.
Okay. Every home that you show, whether it's this one or whether it's one that's really, really, really small, you as the agent need to know everything that's negative about it so that you can hit all the positives. So you already know when they're coming in, what they're gonna feel, what they're gonna think, so you can immediately either attack it, kind of on the offense, or you know what to do when you're on the defense. So like for those guys, for me, when they came through, they didn't like the open kitchen, and so I really do. So I didn't hit them with something at the beginning as how to change it. But the minute I saw that they didn't like walking into the kitchen, we started talking about ideas where you could put a little wall here, put some art on the other side, and do something like that. I know that everybody who's coming into this space is going to look at that building and think it's a big negative. So it's something that I'm not even going to wait till we get downstairs where you really notice it because the ceilings are lower and the bedrooms are darker. I'm going to hit it right up here. So I'm going to go on the offense on that objection and turn that negative into a positive. And the positive is that it provides a really, really great value for your apartments because those apartments are so expensive. That's 40 Bond Street. It's full of celebrities. The penthouse is $80 million. So you're going to have people who live in there in a regular apartment who paid what you paid to have a penthouse with 1,600 square feet of outdoor space, plus your own roof deck with a hot tub. So get them excited about the value and have them not think so much about the fact that there's another building right there. There's nothing I can do other than put huge trees that block it, which we don't have. So I have to figure out a way to kind of mentally and financially turn that negative into a positive, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so spin any negative into a positive and get out ahead before they can have
Yeah.
any objections.
Now listen, you don't want to get out ahead of every objection because sometimes buyers might not notice them. Like there's certain objections to this apartment, like for the fact that you actually have a firehouse across the street. And I don't want to get out ahead of that if they don't really care or if they think it's really beautiful. That's really up to them. And I actually think it's a really, really pretty building. But everyone I know is going to bring that up. And even if they don't, it's good for them to know that they're going to have some really, really cool neighbors. Right? And then we ended on the roof. And that's where everything fell apart.
Yes.
Yes? Why?
Yes. I had a hard time overcoming her not liking the jacuzzi.
Yes. Right. And so how did you take that and end the showing?
I said, kids love jacuzzis.
Okay. Yep. Yep. And she was nervous about kids not liking jacuzzis because they can drown in them, right?
I didn't think of that.
Yes. Yeah, especially little kids. And then you came down off the roof deck, which is probably the best part about this whole apartment. And you asked her if she liked the apartment, and she said,
She wasn't too interested.
and then you said,
Okay, have a great day.
right. So, see, you're laughing because when you say it back to yourself, it's like, okay, that's probably not how we would go about that situation. So when I did it a little bit differently, right? I waited for the roof deck and left it as a secret. So this amazing thing upstairs, right? And showed them the hot tub is a beautiful thing. Now they didn't bring up kids. Had they brought up kids like Kim did with you, you don't need the hot tub. You can get rid of the hot tub. You can lock it off. You could put a timed lock on it. You could put video cameras up there so only adults use it after a certain time period. There's so many things you could do. But again, the value of having a hot tub on a roof deck in New York is so crazy. How awesome is this? So there's little ways that you can twist it and get around it. But you also have this huge roof deck, so let's not just focus on the hot tub. And then the last thing that we want to go through for how to do the perfect private appointment is I started closing them roughly halfway through the appointment. And I don't think you ever got to a close with Kim the entire time. That's why at the end, when she said it wasn't for her, you didn't bring up another apartment you could take her to. You didn't bring up anything else on the market. And then you just said goodbye because it was just kind of uncomfortable and you almost kind of felt like you wanted it to be over, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. So the way you get around that is the guys that I was showing, I knew that maybe the apartment wasn't perfect for them because what they seemed to really want was a huge open space, which isn't this apartment. But I know the market. I know all the listings, I know all the brokers, I know everything that's out there, and it's not that hard because I just have to look it up and do the research and then memorize the information. And I know that there's one that's kind of like this, a little more expensive, and I brought it up to them and said, I'm going to show it to you. Right? I set the expectations, I started driving the ship, and I told them, I'm going to show it to you tomorrow morning. One of their other big objections on the apartment was that they didn't think it had a lot of light off the south side, and that's also because it's the afternoon now. And so I said to them, and I'm also going to bring you back here to see it during the daytime. And they were all about it. So when I ended with them, even though they seemed like they liked the apartment, I also made sure that the next steps, our next point of contact, our next date was already set up, and that was my close for them. So even if they don't buy this place, and even if Kim doesn't buy this place, I, as a broker and as a salesperson, still have a pretty good chance at getting a deal done, and that's how we make money. Sound good?
Make them your client.
Make them your client, right? And help them find their home instead of just being someone who tours people around showing homes. So now we just went through everything that you could have done better during that showing, comparing it to what I did, but that's also why I'm here, right? I've been doing this for a long, long time and you haven't. And if you are watching this and you learned a lot, that's the whole reason you're here. So you can learn from me. And you did a good job. You did a good job. The apartment just wasn't for her, right? You did a really, really good showing. You hit some good points. You went into real detail about building code, right? You showed the whole space. You kind of made her happy as you were doing it. And that's really half the battle, right? That other half is why we're here. And you're going to go really, really, really far in your career. So don't be discouraged. Everything's gonna be awesome and I'm here, all right?
Great.
Everything's gonna be great. So next, we're gonna flip it. So we've been working on sellers, how to talk to sellers, how to pitch sellers, how to show a seller's home. Now we're gonna go into the buy side. How do we work with buyers on showings? How do we work with buyers on pitches? So get ready, here we go.